They talk about the gap between rich and poor. It's not about minimum wage. It's about inflation.
Free Talk Live.
So as I said, we got the story on the way here about the protesters, the yellow vest protesters. You've been fascinated by these people, Rich.
Yeah. Well, these are people that are going out, and the police are beating them and killing them and putting their eyes out with rubber bullets, and they keep coming back. So that, to me, is I mean, you gotta love the huevos. Yeah. And, the other thing that I think that's inspirational to me about them is if you look at their vests, there will be other markings on the vests that they have added frequently. And
these are the vests they're required to have in their vehicle by the French government.
Right.
That's why they all have them.
Right. But they'll put markings on the back. I've seen them with hammers and sickles. But I've also seen them with a lot of other symbols. And they seem to have put aside the differences between factions and come together against a common enemy. And that is something that I envy. Because
that level of organization, that level of solidarity.
Exactly. I mean, I'm one of the organizers of the Yellow Vest World Awakening New Hampshire branch.
Really?
And yeah, I am.
Never heard of it.
Well, we're out there.
Right.
Mostly
do you have a yellow
exist
vest?
On Facebook. Not yet, but Jessica has one for me. She ordered a pack of them.
Right on.
But, the thing that scares me, and one of the things that's been slowing me down, is can we get out there without Antifa fighting with the gun rights people or
internal strife within them.
Exactly. And that's what we can't have. So, I hope that we can emulate what they've done in the United States and get a lot of people out there to say, hey, this New World Order is wrong. This corporatism is wrong. We may disagree on where to go from here, but what we have now is awful.
Yeah, it sure is. I got to say, I'm interested to see where that goes, Rich. I'm sure you'll be updating us as time goes on to better explain what's happening.
Definitely.
What was the name of the movement you were organizer with again?
The page is the Yellow Jackets World Awakening New Hampshire branch.
Yellow Jackets World Awakening.
Yeah.
Awakening or Wakening?
Awakening.
Awakening. New Hampshire branch. Okay.
Yep. And there's a whole collection of Yellow Jackets World Awakening
and what are
groups.
What are they awakening to? What is the awakening about?
Well, I mean, if you listen to the French, a lot of what they're talking about is the New World Order. They've got a lot to say about the banking system. One of the things that they've done so far is try to arrange for runs on the banks.
Wow.
They're very hostile to the banking interests, and that's always a good sign to me, because if you start being hostile to the banking interests, it says to me you're starting to understand where the problems are coming from.
Follow the money.
Yeah, follow the money. I mean, they talk about the gap between rich and poor. It's not about minimum wage. It's about inflation.
And, of course, the banks would not be as influential if it weren't for the governments of the world, because they both essentially work together, the governments and the banks, whether it be the central bank or its little banks that are connected inextricably from the central bank. I mean, essentially every bank is backed up by the central bank, and certainly here in the United States, I'm sure it's true in Europe as well. So they're given the ability to essentially print money into existence, or they're given the ability to loan money into existence as well. Even the little banks are able to loan money into existence, and that's an incredible power that has been just simply given to them.
And when they screw it up, they get bailed out.
Yeah, sure.
If all of those foreclosed homes had been dumped at the market on the market at the same time, because the banks had been allowed to go naturally bankrupt, it would have been the largest redistribution of wealth from rich people to poor people in history. And
Yeah.
it wouldn't have required any government action. It would have just required letting nature take its course.
And people would have gotten a hell of a deal on a house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right now, there are more empty homes than there are homeless people.
Is that true in the United States?
In the United States.
Banks will hold houses just to keep the price of houses high.
Huh.
Yeah. And that's a lot of the real reason for the bailout is they wanted to stop the housing prices from falling long before they reached their natural level. And the natural level of housing prices would be one that kept all the houses full.
It's a great point.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.